Well, after making the video on Sonic 1 versus Sonic CD, I said to myself, why not make a video on Sonic 2? Because I hadn't replayed that game in a while. And so I did. Sonic 2 is one of those sequels I was really hyped about when I was a kid. I couldn't really wait for this game to come out. I was in full Sonic mania. Yeah, back then. It was really a special time because, you know, the early 90's, all the cartoons, Batman the animated series, all the cool movies and so on. So Sonic 2 was really one of the games in my childhood I was really hyped for. And when it came out, it didn't disappoint. I remember enjoying it quite a bit. But it was quite hard, at least not at the beginning, but right at the end. So it took me a little bit to actually finish it for good, to beat the I was mostly stuck on the final boss. It took me a little bit. And then it took me a little bit to also discover that you could unlock Super Sonic if you got all the Chaos Emeralds. Because back then I actually didn't know. I only discovered that Super Sonic was a thing in this game after years. Because at first I was sure Super Sonic was the first appeared the first time in Sonic 3, but then no, I discovered it was actually this game. I was actually never able to get all the Chaos Emeralds previous to that because I was adamant on playing with Sonic and Tails together. But the problem is, if you play with Tails along with Sonic in this game, the special stages are much harder. Especially the ones after the fourth one, because when you jump in the special stages with Sonic and then Tails jumps right after you, there's like 1 second of delay after you jump in which he will jump. But the problem is that in the special stages a lot of the time there will be bombs. And Tails also has his share of rings, so if he gets hit by the bombs, which will definitely happen, given the delay in his jump, when you try to dodge the bombs, he'll get hit and he will lose his portion of rings. So that will make getting the Chaos Emeralds much harder in my opinion. And in fact I think the first playthrough, which I played only with Sonic, I was able to get the Chaos Emeralds pretty much immediately. So yeah, if you wanna get all the Chaos Emeralds, don't play with Tails, play Sonic alone. But yeah, after this small introduction, let's talk a little bit more about the game. Starting with the level design. The level design, to me it seems like it was streamlined quite a bit. The stages are pretty easy. The game only starts getting slightly harder around I wanna say Hilltop Zone, Mystic Cave, and then the next big jump in difficulty there's right there at the Metropolis Zone. Then there is another big spike in Wing Fortress, which is heavy in platforming with the bottomless pits and so on. And then there's the final boss, which it is not hard per se, but the thing with the final boss in this game is that it requires patience. And when you are a kid, you don't really have much patience. So it took me a while to take it slow. And then I was finally able to beat it. Nowadays I'm able to beat it. Even if I haven't played this game in years, I can beat it pretty easily in a few minutes. You just need to be patient. If you don't want to go all balls out and hit him every 2 seconds, you can adopt a risky strategy on the final boss. You can be relatively safe with that too, but I just prefer to be extra safe and hit it only when he is very vulnerable. But yeah, I was saying the level design. The level design is streamlined. The stages allow you to go very fast. Stages heavy in platforming. There aren't many that I can think of. Like I said, the only heavy stage in platforming when you actually have to stop and assess the situation is Wing Fortress, probably. Metropolis Zone is also a little bit heavy in platforming, but other than that, no, there aren't many stages at all in this game. Like, I don't know, let's say Marble Zone in Sonic 1 or Labyrinth Zone in Sonic 1. Most of the stages allow you to go relatively fast. Like I said, the game is very streamlined. It's actually too easy for my taste. Up until Mystic Cave. So I guess people complained about Sonic 1 being too hard, I don't know. But this one feels a little bit too easy in this sense. And most of the levels still have the structure of having multiple paths, a bottom path, upper path, and a mid path as well. I don't think all of them follow this structure, but most of them probably. I haven't walked all the paths in years, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in this one. And yeah, I think it's no coincidence that this was the Sonic that sold the most, also because of that. I think overall, this is the Sonic that is more iconic to most people, because the art style. Let's talk about the art style. The art style in this game is top notch. Among the classic Sonics, so Sonic 1, CD 2, 3 and Knuckles, I think this one has the best art style. In terms of character designs, Badnik designs, but also in terms of backgrounds as well. Like the background in Casino Night is pure soul to me, because it makes me, looking at the background makes me just so nostalgic for some reason, because I don't know, I used to live in a place where when I was a kid, where looking out the window, the landscape will look similar to what you see in the background of Casino Night. So I don't know, looking at the backdrop in that stage makes me very nostalgic for those years. I know it's very subjective what I'm saying, but I just can't help it. It's one of those things that just make me feel this way. And by the way, I think Casino Night is the best casino stage themed in the classic Sonics. I don't count Sonic Mania among the classic Sonics, the original 4. I mean, Sonic Mania is still a classic Sonic, but I just take it out of the comparison for now. I'm only speaking about the games that were made in the 90's. So, and yeah, Casino Night is definitely the best casino themed stage. Like Carnival Light doesn't touch it in my opinion. Carnival Light is okay, but it's not better. Same with the Spring Yard and Collision Chaos. Also, this was the first Sonic that had I forgot to mention before, the first Sonic that had a water level that you could completely skip the water if you stayed in the upper path. So that's definitely highlights the difference in level design compared to the first one, for sure. And yeah, like I said, they really did a good job with the art style. This is easily the most iconic Sonic game of the Mega Drive trilogy. I mean, if you want to count Sonic CD as well, of course. But art style wise, the design of Sonic and Tails in their portraits in the intro screen is just top notch in my opinion. Sonic 3 had that 3D look that made it very particular, but I think this one it just has more personality. It's probably just me, but yeah, I feel it this way about this game. Let's talk a little bit about the special stages. I was saying before that you shouldn't use tails if you want to get all the Chaos Emeralds, and yeah, I definitely stand by what I said. It will make the whole process harder. Granted, this is actually the only Sonic where it almost feels wrong to get all the Chaos Emeralds, because, I don't know, the game also doesn't chastise you for not getting all the Chaos Emeralds at the end, unlike the other games. So yeah, in this sense it is an exception. But I think it also made it, that's what made it pretty unique. The fact that it doesn't tell you try again if you don't get all the Chaos Emeralds at the end. And like I said, Super Sonic makes the game a little bit too easy as well. So yeah, I don't think it was very... Super Sonic was definitely not balanced in very well in this game. Also, with the fact that you can't really choose not to use it, because as long as you collect 50 rings, you will turn as long as you jump. Now I don't know, I don't remember if they have fixed this in the mobile port and in the Christian Whitehead port, which is also in Sonic Origins, but maybe they did, I don't remember though. But yeah, the special stages in Sonic 2 are definitely better than the first Sonic, for sure. I personally rank them in the same spot as the Sonic 3 special stages. So my ranking is first place is probably Sonic CD along with Sonic Mania. Second place Sonic 3 and Sonic 2, and last place Sonic 1. That's in terms of special stages, this is my ranking. So they're not the best but not the worst either. They're functional. They are not, as long as you play alone, Sonic alone or Tails alone, you won't have problems. You'll probably fuck up a few times in a couple of the hardest ones, but after a few tries you'll be able to get all the Chaos Emeralds no problem. And in terms of special stages, this game is also pretty unique compared to the other games, because in this game you actually can get the chance to get the Chaos Emeralds just by collecting 50 rings and passing through a checkpoint post, which is something that the other Sonics absolutely didn't do. You can only get one chance in a level in Sonic 1 and Sonic CD to get a Chaos Emerald, and in Sonic 3 you only get a chance to get a Chaos Emerald as long as you discover the secret rings in the levels. So this is definitely unique. But I also there's an extra layer when it comes to the special stages in this game, because when you come back from a special stage, regardless of whether you actually succeeded or not, you lose all your rings because you spend them to actually enter the special stage, and all the previous rings in the level regenerate. So technically you can go back and collect the rings and try to the next to enter the next checkpoint post again in the special stage. So technically you could get all the Chaos Emeralds in Emerald Hill. If you wanna do, you can, but I just think it's tedious, honestly, playing like that. If I do get all the Chaos Emeralds, I'll just do it organically and maybe do a couple per zone, 2 or 3 per zone. So yeah, in this sense, it's mid of the road, not the best but not the worst either. Let's talk a little bit briefly about the bosses. The bosses are not very hard, also because you can cheese most of them, especially the one in Metropolis Zone that is also a little bit hard, but you can cheese it very easily when he comes down, so I don't count him as hard. This is actually something I want to talk about in a separate video, about the way to cheese and Sonic bosses classic Sonic bosses and what you can actually do to make it a little bit better, probably. But that's for another video. The only hard boss is the last one, because the last two, because there's two bosses. There's Silver Sonic and that egg robot that you have to do with 0 rings. I mean, they are, as long as you know the pattern, they are very easy, but the first time you'll probably die a couple of times when you try to get their measurements. At least I did when I was a kid. The other bosses are quite easy, honestly. They are easy, but also I think they are better designed than the ones in Sonic 1 for the most part. They have more personality. They are more creative, let's say. Something you will expect from Robotnik and his 300 IQ, I guess. But yeah, I really like the bosses, design-wise as well, the art style of the bosses and so on. This was also the last Sonic, if I remember correctly though, that did the whole 0 rings at the end to handle the final boss. I wonder why they dropped it, because I think it was quite an interesting design choice. Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 force you to face the final boss without any rings. And that makes the whole thing more tense. Meanwhile, in Sonic CD and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you can keep your rings, if I remember correctly, in the final boss. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess people... I guess they changed this because people were molding, were seeding, were spurging out, I don't know, at the boss, at the final boss in Sonic 2, because I can't really think of anything else that might be the reason for this change. Or maybe they just want to make things more accessible. But I don't know. This game is already very easy. The final boss being slightly harder doesn't really change much. The game is overall pretty easy. In terms of lives as well, you cannot collect dozens of lives like in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but you can get a few. Definitely more than in Sonic 1, so definitely not a hard game in this sense. The music is also pretty good. Probably better than the first one. One of the most memorable soundtracks in the franchise, for sure. So many memorable tracks in this game. Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic 2 are definitely the best soundtracks in the franchise, in my opinion. So no complaints in this sense. The main team, the final boss team, the Invincibility team, they're all very good. I can't think of a single stage that has a theme I don't like in this game. In Sonic 3, yeah, I can think of one. I'm not very super crazy about. But this one, yeah, all the stages I like. The themes are very catchy. And like I said, I'm very nostalgic for the music as well, as long as for the art style. So you won't hear a complaint by me in this sense. Now, to conclude, because this video is already too long, this game is a classic. Like, you can't really say anything else. It is obviously not perfect because sadly they rushed it. The game is clearly not... When you get to the final stages, the game is clearly not as polished as it was in the first ones. There's a few bugs. The enemy placement is very amateurish, especially in Metropolis Zone. And also Metropolis Zone itself was clearly not tested very well. And they had to scrap a lot of content when it comes to this game. So it was sadly... I don't wanna say I'm finished, but yeah, they didn't have all the time they wanted to complete this game for sure. I wonder what we could have gotten if they had all the time they needed. Because yeah, that would have been interesting. I wish Sega will actually like commission a remake of this game to fix the issues it has, like the enemy placement in Metropolis Zone, putting back in Cyber City Zone, and so on. But I don't know, that will probably never happen. As for the rest, like I said, I don't think this is the best classic Sonic game, but I totally understand people who think so, because this game has a lot of personality. They really came into their mojo with this one. You could tell they were really into something. Lots of talented people really working on this game, so it manages to be very good despite being unpolished in some aspects. So I totally understand if you consider this your favorite Sonic game, even though I don't agree. Objectively, I can't agree, because Sonic 3 is just a bigger, more interesting game, but this one is also very good, so I totally understand. And when it comes to its legacy, this is the game that in the end introduced the spin dash, which you can tell by slight changes in the level design that are different compared to Sonic 1, because in Sonic 1, of course, there was no spin dash originally, so you had to build speed by running back and forth, while here you can build speed with the spin dash pretty much from a very short distance. So there is a lot of steeps, slopes that weren't in the first game. Because whereas in the first game there was something you could backtrack to build up speed, here in some instances there are not. You just have to spin dash and you can go back to gain up speed sometimes. And also, of course, Tails, which I think it was a good addition, because in Sonic 1 sometimes it felt a little bit lonely being just with Sonic. And Tails, I think, makes the game more dynamic and colorful and cheerful as well. And of course, the other big addition, if you want to call it that, is the more streamlined level design that has levels flowing better, which makes the game more replayable, more palatable to the average player, let's say. So all in all decent additions in my opinion, because in the end this ended up being the game that shaped the foundation for a lot of the things that will come later also in Sonic 3, like for example the storytelling through cutscenes, let's say, where it's in only one instance in Sonic 2, where Sonic grabs Robotnik's spaceship while going to the Death Egg. Meanwhile, in Sonic 3, it will become way more frequent. And also, I guess you can also say stage transitions, but yeah, this definitely laid the foundation for what's to come. But yeah, this is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on Sonic 2, as usual, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye!